Welcome back, everybody. Get yourself some coffee or some choco. I like some cold chocolate, not hot chocolate. Some cacao. And jump into it. It's not gonna be too long, all right? We already talked about a couple of things. I really like how we're opening on like the window with the light shining in. It's a really cool imagery. Oh, I still got the sound on. Apologies. And he's Richard Brown, right? I don't know if we knew Brown. Love how we're going in with the tilted angle. It's not the tilted angle in a Dutch angle way, but it's rotated angle. So we're not looking straight at it. We're kind of getting a slice of everything, and just as if a camera is in the upper corner, kind of filming down. And yeah, that is. I mean, it doesn't look like Roberto. It could be that it's not Roberto, because in this shot it doesn't look like Roberto, but if you're like looking from here, it looks like it. Like this boy is sitting behind her on the left side, and supposedly it is, but then you look from the back and it looks like Roberto with like the way the hair is drawn. But it could be, it could not be. I don't know. I do love some of these shots. Some of these shots are really going hard, right? Him being really tense, pressing. Muscular tension is very normal if you're having swirling emotions going on, right? There's this like this entire like your entire body is tense and wants to like just, right? You want to rip yourself open, right? Because there's like some pain, some like real suffering going on, but your body, obviously your brain doesn't have any pain receptors. Your brain itself doesn't have any pain receptors. Any kind of like pain, like headaches that you get are mostly just the outer membrane of the brain actually having pain. It's not the inside, because on the inside you don't have any pain receptors. And how do you then, how does your brain then signal to you that something is wrong up there, right? Be that, right, neurological, I mean mostly mental, right? Psychological, right? That there's something wrong in terms of like the cognition and the emotions that are going on. Our emotions make us feel discomfort and pain, right? They change the way we feel about our body, and that can manifest itself in many ways. Be that shallow breath, be that incredible like tension in different areas of the musculature, such as our jaw. Many people are just like tensing up their jaw a lot, and then they get like pain here in the jawline. Because of stress, because of like anxiety and other things. Other people are like clenching their fists a lot, or they're like they're in weird tense postures. A lot of things you do see also, just like when it comes to depression, there is a specific, like especially like heavy depression, there are specific ways the eyes are slanted in when you are depressive, like in the terms of like how your muscles are relaxed or tensed up. And you do see that as well when it comes to, like, for example, schizophrenic people or other stuff, where there is in some symptoms which are on the motoric side, which is like we call that, like, those would be associated with like negative symptoms, right? Because like the positive symptoms is everything that's kind of in the area of psychotic, right? And hallucinating, but not just hallucinating, it's just also being paranoid and all of these things, right? And we do have also muscular symptoms which do happen, right? That you are in certain poses, right? Have a very stiff musculature, but very bendable in some ways. There's a lot of things that can happen in that realm, right? Something's wrong with us on that end, right? So a lot of things that happen neurologically, but also psychologically, manifest themselves in how we are conducting ourselves to the outside, right? How we look, the posture we take, the way we look at people, the way we look in general, mimic, like memes, gestures, the way where our eyes look, right? Heaven, for example, sky is associated a lot with contemplativeness, right? With thinking about things, having your head in some in the clouds, you say, right? Having your head in the clouds, that's also a saying, and it's a reason. There's a reason why this is a saying, because you're like, oftentimes if you're like dreaming, you're looking up, but that doesn't have to be a good dream. It can be a bad dream, right? Your wheels are spinning. I do love how we're looking through the tree line as we're talking about Dr. Tenma, because that clearly flashes back to the beginning, the very beginning of Monster, where we walk through the trees and we're looking at Dr. Tenma and Dr. I don't know, I forgot his name, right? Like the blonde doctor who wasn't like as ambitious, who was kind of on the sidelines, who was the friend of Dr. Tenma. And this is literally the same shot. This is literally the same shot we had with Tenma and the other one. Right, and I do love this kind of shot. I said it in other series as well, like we're a bird perched up on a tree looking through the trees onto these weird humans and their behaviors and what they're doing, right? Like as if they're being observed, basically. Observed by people, observed by the universe, observed by the birds. We're sowing those seeds of doubt in the mind of our sensei, because Rudy is convinced, and that is clear. We let the sentence stand for a second. You did everything that you could have done, right? And that's not just to placate him. That is what Rudy truly believes. Sometimes we just say that to placate people, to calm them down. But this is like Rudy being convinced and being like, look, I am convinced that there's something wrong with all of this. I think you did all you could. I believe in you, and I think you had the right sense here. And Mr. Richard did regain his old self. You have that pause, right? That modern anime often don't leave. Where you like, the sentence stands. It floats in the room, right? It has time to breathe and expand and manifest itself, grow inside the minds of the viewers and inside the mind of the doctor. Please don't blame yourself. And we go to the title screen. It's very sad that so many people die in the wake of just because they could be finding out about Johann and what he's doing. Be that by Johann himself, right? As like him using a proxy directly, a tool, basically a human tool. Or be that by inadvertently followers of Johann thinking they're doing him a favor, which oftentimes they do, and killing people for him without him having asked for it or suggested it. Decision. Chapter 30, right? Going to the gym, very important, right? This doctor knows the connection between mental health and physical health. I should be going to the gym again soon, honestly. I mean, like, since I started Reaction, I've been doing very, very little sports, and I should be starting up again, because I do feel the effects of it, kind of. I mean, I'm still relatively fit, right? And I'm still doing things that are physical in a way, but I'm not nearly as fit as I used to be. And I do hope it's not gonna bite me in the back now in the cold season, because that is when your immune system is being strained the most, and your immune system is directly tied to your physical fitness as well. But we set that up, and later on, when he's following that guy, we do see that he's really struggling to get right to follow him, despite being somebody who is supposedly regularly running. This woman talking about her husband. I do wonder if this is Roberto, who actually put himself into like a family as a cover story, right? And is using that, or if that is just a completely different husband and Roberto just took the husband out or sent him somewhere else, and now he's like weaseling his way in there by pretending to be the husband. Because he didn't see any papers or anything, which is like, these days he wouldn't even get past the receptionist. I mean, the receptionist was out, but still, right? You wouldn't let somebody in and just be like, come in and then believe who he is. You just ask him, and you need to see like the card, right? The insurance card or whatever. I do like this detective, as dismissive as he is, and as much as I think all of the police people were maybe fed up with Richard, were at the point where they didn't believe anymore that he could get better, right? Which is very sad in and on its own. But I do at least appreciate that he's not dismissing the doctor, but just being courteous with him and actually showing him everything. Because otherwise the doctor would have never found out the Ratchet thing, right? And I do love that, how we're contemplating as we are running. That is a thing I can heavily relate to. When I was still jogging more, that was one of the primary ways where I actually just could free my mind for 5 or 10 minutes and think nothing. And then while the jogging was going on and it was continuing and we were getting towards the end, then, or maybe in the beginning, like the first 5 minutes, you're still thinking about shit, right? You're still like ruminating on shit. And then in the middle, you start to focus on your physical, right? Your endurance, your like how you, the pace you're going at, what kind of road you're going, and everything gets kind of freed from your mind. It feels like everything just falls away and you're just pure existence. And then on your way back, right, when you've almost done it, right, maybe you're struggling with your endurance and whatnot, and you're going a little bit slower, and then you're starting to feel that again, like the thoughts are coming back. They're seeping in again. But it's not in like a negative way, it's like in a very thoughtful, contemplative way. It's like the thoughts are the same, but they're fresh, they feel new. There's no, like, you feel a lot more open for new associations being made. I mean, obviously, it's also possible that in the middle of your jogging session, you're 100% focused on your physical. You live in the moment. Suddenly, you have an epiphany. That happened a lot of times to me, and it's really great. It's a really great thing to just clear your head, but also to maybe think about things from a different perspective, right? Free your mind, open your mind to new possibilities. I do miss that. I was kind of playing with the idea. We have like a sports track very, very close by. Like all of the like sports science students are using that one. And it's not that full, right? There's not a lot of them there, but they're regularly training. Like there's always somebody there, kind of. And I'm part of the same university, so I could go there. I could just put on my running shoes and run a couple of laps. It's certainly not as enjoyable as running through nature, because running through nature is something very therapeutic for me, right? You have the trees close by as the wind is slowly kind of breezing through the leaves, and you hear that, right? That sound. Something even these days that's kind of like, in addition to, for example, the sound of rain, the sound of wind going through the leaves is something that is relaxing me a lot, right? That is having a really nice effect on me. And then you do have, oftentimes you have views that are absolutely breathtaking, right? You do have nature, all of the green out there, especially if it just rained, but even when just the sun is coming out, and in the morning, in the evening, stuff like that. And obviously during the day, especially when it's summer, it's like sweltering, you don't want to run there, and you see animals on the roadside, right? Little ducks, or even sometimes like falcons or whatever. And you see like storks and other kind of birds, and sometimes you do see like a doe on the roadside, right? Just quickly running away when they see any humans approaching. And beautiful sunset and sunrise views, right? Still water surfaces, right? Looking at the sea, like not the sea as in the ocean, but like a little lake or something. Lake is called See in German, right? S-E-E. Yeah. I really miss that. I think I'll probably, hopefully when I got more time. Or I gotta make time, right? At some point in time, I gotta put my foot down and make time and just do it. And like, just I can relate heavily to something like that. I'm just sitting in the corner, holy shit. You do see that he's really struggling with that, right? The way he's bent over, the way he's like just retreated into himself. And when he's dealing with his patient, like the woman whose husband cheated on her, he's just halfway listening. And it's difficult, right? Because as a therapist, as a counselor, you do need, like, this is a difficult job, not because it might be difficult on a physical level or because it might be highly difficult like mathematics or whatever, right? It's not the same way difficult as academia is, or just doing anything with finances or doing anything with like physical work. It's difficult because you constantly have to pay attention. You constantly have to be there, at the very least within the time frame of those sessions. That's why most therapist sessions are 45 minutes, right? Maximum an hour. Sure, there's double sessions occasionally, but they're very straining both on the patient and on the therapist. You gotta keep that attention, right? Listen to what the patient and client are saying. Write it down, right? Write down specific keywords, but don't write it down in a way that you're like creating the separation between you and the other person. This is difficult. This is hard. Because you don't want, like, you want to respect the person opposite of you. You're listening to their woes, you're listening to their troubles, to their stress, and you're trying to make it better. And to make it better, you have to observe, you have to be there for hours on end, and you have to pay attention to every little detail. You have to be able to filter out information. Not lose track of time either, right? Straining. And this is weighing heavy on his mind right now. I do love how we have like the asymmetrical shot of like the cityscape at night, and we show a lot of the sky. But what I really love about this, it almost feels like the sky is flowing like a river through the buildings, right? We do have the buildings which are lit up on the sides, so right, slightly they are in shadow, but we see them lit up by the street lamps and the lights that are coming out of every single window. And we do show like a lot of the sky. We're not like street level, we're looking up, and we're like at a slightly elevated position, and what we're looking up at is like some dark mass that is the sky, that has just a very, very, very small, very, very soft sheen of light that is coming from the horizon, which is probably the rest of the city, the lights of the rest of the city kind of going up and creating that contrast. And the way the city is shaped and structured, and how it's like, how the shot is done, is that the sky starts at this one single point, far off in the distance, and it's getting like bigger and bigger, but it's not linear. It's like almost flowing like a river that is getting bigger as it's making its way towards you, or in perspective getting bigger. And I do really love that. That is beautiful. And then we're panning down a little bit, going to the old familiar locales. That is also a trick, right? You show the same front of a store to just quickly signal, oh, we're here again, right? This is the place, right? Sliding the Polaroid or the photograph into the frame, basically. And this guy doesn't remember, which is like, come on, dude, come on. But maybe he was actually not the one who served them, right? He's just remembering this guy was there and ordered something like a coffee, and then he was gone, right? And his colleague took that over. And then he was like, I don't remember if he was in the last episode. He could have been possible. But either way, like, you don't remember every customer, especially if they're just box standard customers. The only reason he remembered the other guy, right, Richard, is that he didn't order alcohol. He did order a coffee at night, which tends to happen in Germany, but also not that often. Not that often, right? Most people, when they're in the evening, at night, they're actually ordering beer or whiskey or whatever they want to order. But also, I get the feeling that this guy just doesn't want to think about that, right? He's like being questioned. He's like, I don't care, dude. Right? I don't care to try and remember. But we do have that little hint, and it's like, oh wait, I remember something from a personal conversation. He said he only drinks Scotch whiskey. He doesn't drink like this local stuff. He's like a connoisseur. But yeah, those are like the little bits, and sometimes you're like, okay, maybe he just took that. But yeah, if you see like Scotch whiskey is available right next to that, right, on the shelf, then he would have ordered that 100% because that's habit. It's not like he didn't have enough money for it. It's like a very creepy feeling as we go along from like that. He's in thought, and they're still in thought, but then we're panning and suddenly the camera is not on him. He's not controlling the camera anymore, right? He's just going past the camera. And suddenly we're like, these are weird angles that we're showing him from. I don't know, I can't really put it down why these weird angles are giving me these feelings, right? They're not Dutch angles, they're weird, but like the way the angles that the lights are to him, right, relatively, and like the whole line that is going along here was kind of tilted towards him, and now we're going through the crowd with the camera, splitting the crowd apart, getting closer to him, and now we're like, okay, shit, there's somebody coming towards him. And that is a very common technique, right? And we're having the train coming in and having that flash in our mind, because this is like a common trope, somebody being thrown in front of the train, right? And we're like, no. And then we have, right, the quick flashes back and forth, and we have a hand coming in, reaching towards him. And to me, it felt like almost like it was somebody he knew, right? Somebody he knew being like, oh, hey, how you doing? Right? This quick moment of like almost a shock moment of, shit, what are you doing? But it's somebody you know. But no, somebody actually approached him and wanted to do it. And he looked around, and this guy got cold feet, right? A second before that. And that's how he noticed. And now we're following all of that, right? Going up the thing, looking over, and we know that's over there, right? We immediately know it's over there because his gaze went there. And I do love how he's literally running into the camera. Really cool, really nice frame here. At first, I actually thought that the guy was fleeing right there, right? Like on the left side, this little wooden door was like, maybe he hid in there. He was like very sneaky about that. But he was actually hiding in the club, which makes sense too, right? Hide in a public place where you can't be easily approached and like tackled down or whatever. But he's getting approached, right? He's openly being like, hey, why did you try to push me or whatever? But he has a friend in the club, and that is the problem, right? He got surprised and thrown out, and now he's getting kicked. And I was like, holy shit, no, this is so depressing. But as they turned their backs, they shouldn't have done that. He's coming in with the headbutt. Holy fucking shit. That must have hurt. That must have hurt, right? Full blown skull into the nose. Holy fucking shit. And he got knocked down immediately. I was like, fucking hell, dude, that hurts. And he's going in. He's got police training. Nice going, dude. No, nice going, Ji-John. Really. Love the angle that we're looking at this from, right? We're looking like as if we're like a gutter rat, right? It's like a little rat looking at the two people who just got blown out, and we're very close to the glasses, and it almost seems like he's gonna go away here, although we know that he isn't because there's the glasses still there. We have a little glimpse into like the main place of society with all of the lights and all of the publicity, but we are in a back alley. And then he turns around, and they're kind of like winding themselves in pain, and we'll have him going all the way up with all of his shoes. And at the moment he stands in front of the glasses, he goes down, takes the glasses. Victorious, right? And even like the gaze into the camera, really cool, really cool. And then we have like the scene with the grave, which is very sad and it feels very lonely, right? It feels very cold. And we zoom in on like how old he was, right? All of that. Let the name pass again. Again, this tradition of like opening a bottle for somebody who was an alcoholic. I don't know if that's a good thing, especially if he was a recovering alcoholic who wanted to quit, right? So it's more of a thing of like, here's the thing you couldn't do in life. No, right? You just went past that. I'm happy for you that you at least kind of got to the point. All the tragedy that happened, that is unfortunate, but at least you got to the point where you're not into alcohol anymore, right? Where you don't adhere to it anymore. Why bring it to your grave then, right? It's almost like an affront to me, but I understand it, right? It's a sentimental gesture. I love how the clouds are going over the moon and everything is getting dark, and we're like, oh, holy shit. I was like, Richard, leave it to me. I swear I'm gonna do it. And we have that shot of determination. And then we have like the reveal of like zooming over to the tree and a foot stepping in. Classic. And Tenma looking quite different at this point in time, right? He looked a lot more cleaned up when we saw him last time with Ava and like Dieter and Heckle in that set of episodes. But he's here. And this is how we know, right? This is how we know he's gonna turn up and he's gonna save Sensei. We set that up, right? That little thing. I wanted to look at that, right? Robin Hood der Arbeitslosen. Interesting. Sure that I can't, like, shame I can't actually read the actual text because that sounds very interesting. Robin Hood of the unemployed, right? Like some kind of unemployed movement stuff. And we have Länder prüfen Klage gegen den Emissionshandel. Countries or nations are checking the lawsuit against or versus emission trade. Very topical for today, actually. Insane that this was the 90s. Holy fucking shit. Aufschwung lässt auf sich warten, right? Like the economic upturn has not yet come, basically. It keeps us waiting. That's what it's saying. Yeah, I can't read the rest of them. But very cool, very cool. I have looked some of these in there. And he's asking around for like the madam. Some of these shots are really cool, right? It looks very interesting, right? The shots, they're very lively. Even this one, right? With like the road behind him, and like the full frontal on him. The evening shot of him sitting in front of the window. I love how we're like building that up, and everyone, like the audience completely knows this is somebody who is trouble, but we don't know who, right? And I wouldn't have guessed it's Roberto. Maybe I would have if I immediately watched this after the last like 3 or 4 episodes, but I didn't. It didn't immediately click that this could be Roberto. I should have known from the hands and like the tie. I think he had a similar tie and like a similar suit, but like the way he's kind of moving the hands, like I said. It's kind of almost he's telling about himself for real. It's like almost an awkwardness gesture or a gesture of like to reduce tension, basically, that you're kind of rubbing that together to just kind of just do something with your hands without having to be too emotive, right? And we do have the reveal, panning up him with his stone cold face. He's like a real psychopath. I do wonder because he's saying like. Johan almost seemed like he's such a beautiful young man. Yeah, with blonde hair. Obviously that triggers him, but what's interesting is, or even if everything inside of me felt like a dream, but the moment I met him, though, things changed. Everything began to seem real, and I was no longer lonely. It's very interesting, right? No longer lonely. I felt understood. That tells me that maybe he has been masterfully manipulated by Johan as well. And it's easier to manipulate somebody who is already has similar like morals than you or loose morals than you, who has similar ruthlessness inside of him, maybe also even a couple of points where they agree with your general worldview and philosophy. It's easier to manipulate those people because you don't have to bring them on one line with you. Half the work is already done. You just have to kind of be sympathetic to them and give them somebody, be a figure for them to identify themselves with. Love like the realization that's going into his glasses, right? And he's trying to distance himself and he's going after him, and that is now just like a game of like chicken, a game of cat and mouse where it's like we both know this is gonna happen. Who is gonna make the first move and is it gonna be successful? And him just banking on her actually leaving the door open, which is absolutely cool. Like that we established that earlier in the episode 2 times and then it's gonna happen. Very good idea with the splash of water. And obviously he's a good shot, so he's aiming like, I'm gonna kill you. There's nothing that's gonna happen that's gonna stop that. But he didn't have Tenma on his radar, and we see it in his face. Tenma's like, shut up, bitch. I got you. I got you. And we saw this coming, right? Tenma was somewhere in the vicinity. He would involve himself with it. Yeah, that's been Monster episode 30. Really, really, really great. I did enjoy it a lot. It is possible since October 25th is the date where I have to do an exam. That 2 weeks before that, which is probably going to be in a couple of days, I start studying, which means I can do very little. I'm probably going to stick to Monogatari, which is going to have the finale. That's going to be my top priority. Then there's going to be... Oh, yeah. I mean, I'll probably do a short update video as well on that in a couple of days. I'm going to stick to Monogatari and to ReZero. And after that, to Disco Elysium. And then there comes Monster and Technolize. These couple of episodes, however many I'm getting out, are the only ones you're gonna get. And I'm sorry about that. But Monster is just not garnering enough attention. That doesn't mean that I'll stop it at any point in time. I'm gonna follow it through. It's gonna be all the way to the end. Don't you worry about it. But with interruptions as needed. That's just how it goes. And I can't change that. I wish I had more time on my hands, but it is what it is, right? Still, I appreciate everybody watching. I'm very happy to see that the last couple of episodes have more viewers. And I do hope that with my discussions, I'm actually enriching your experience in general. I'll be seeing you next time on episode 31 of Monster, and until then.